right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Perfect. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the SHAC in Action webinar. Today, we're going to be focusing on social and emotional well-being. My name is Angel Toscano. I'm the Teach Healthier After School Manager with It's Time Texas. With us today as well, we have Michelle Smith from the Texas State Coordinator Action for Healthy Kids, Parent, Austin ISD, SHACS. Also on this webinar, we have Katie Cameron Neal. She's the SEL Specialist for Austin ISD. Alonzo Blankenship, the second, SEL Specialist, Austin ISD. And we will also have Pam Martin, SEL Parent and Community Program Specialist from Austin ISD. Just to go over a little bit of the logistics, please use your phone or computer speakers. All the attendees will be muted, but if you have a question, please feel free to go ahead and use your box on the right side, your chat box, and you can enter and ask a question, and we will go ahead and do our best to answer them accordingly. The webinar is being recorded, and the webinar link and slides will be sent following the webinar. If you are looking for a CEU certificate, those will be sent out by the end of the month. Now, for the agenda for today, so we're first going to go ahead and look into what is SHAC, and then we'll go ahead and go right into the social and emotional learning from the AISD presenters. We'll go over some resources, and at the end, we'll hopefully have enough time for a Q&A. Now I'll go ahead and pass it to Michelle.
Thanks, Angel. Just wanted to let you guys know about a couple of events. The Southern Obesity Summit is being held November 11th through the 13th in Houston, and we do have a special pre-conference workshop on wellness policies on November 13th. So if you're interested in finding out more, you can Google Southern Obesity Summit, and you can check out and sign up for that workshop. And then mark your calendars for February 10th. Texas Action for Healthy Kids will have our annual summit here in Austin. Also, if you're not on our email list, which I'm assuming most of you are, or you wouldn't have known about this webinar, make sure that you are on the email list. We will have more School Health Advisory Council webinars coming in the spring. We will also have It's Time Texas School Health Advisory Council Awards will be coming up, and you'll want to get your entries in for those. So just real quickly, we want to just mention what the purpose of the School Health Advisory Council is. This is a district-level council that is to assist the district in making sure that local community values are reflected in the district's health education instructions. And this is an opportunity for parents to have input, for community members to have input. SHACs are mandated by state law. The members are appointed by the school board. And as we mentioned, it's a great voice for parents in the community and a key way to make sure that the school district and the school board are working with the intent of educating the whole child and incorporating coordinated school health and all the different elements that impact a child's ability to learn into the environment. SHACs do a review of all health curriculum that's used and make recommendations on health-related topics. They're mandated to make recommendations on district coordinated school health programs. They must review and make a recommendation on recess policy. They also are supposed to have a physical education and physical activity subcommittee that reviews how PE and physical activity are being implemented. And they also must review and make recommendations on ways the community and the district can collaborate on helping people be physically active. One of those is by using joint use agreements. So that is just a real quick overview. You will notice we have now an option for handouts. So instead of us emailing out the PowerPoints, we have actually uploaded a PDF file. So you can download this presentation from the column on the right that you have there. If you look down towards the bottom, it'll say handouts, and we have put a PDF file in there. So then you will have the actual links to SHAC resources. the resource guides from DSHS and TEA, as well as TTA and It's Time Texas. And then other things like NASB has a school health policy database with different types of school health policies. The CDC whole school, whole community, whole, as well as the Healthy Schools and the School Health Index. And then Spring Branch ISD has given us a link to their coordinated school health and shared a lot of information on how their SHAC works, which is very helpful. So I'm going to turn this over to Pam Martin with AISD and let them get started on the real meat for this workshop. Let me unmute you, Pam. There you go.
Okay, hello, can you hear me? I'm Pam Martin. I am the SEL Parent and Community Program Specialist for Austin ISD. We really appreciate this opportunity to tell you a little bit about social emotional learning in Austin ISD. So hopefully we will cover the following intentions today. We're going to define social emotional learning and explain its importance. We'll explore ways to build a positive classroom culture and climate in educational environments, and we'll explore examples of social emotional learning implementation in Austin ISD schools. So first, just think back to your educational experiences. Think of that teacher that made a really strong impact. Was that teacher warm? Did that teacher know their content really well? And as we go through the presentation, keep that teacher in mind. So CASEL is the Collaborative for Academic Social Emotional Learning. We are part of the Collaborating Districts Initiative. There are currently 8, with 2 districts coming on board, Atlanta and El Paso. We meet with the collaborating districts annually to talk about implementation and things that are going on around the country. Austin ISD was one of the first 3 to join. And now we're going to watch a short SEL movie. If you press,
I don't believe I was given for the movie.
Okay.
Oh.
If you press the link that says "and now for a short SEL movie."
Oh, okay. There we go.
Come on.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Katie.
Sorry. Hello, everyone. So sorry I'm late.
All right. And if you If you hit the play button in the middle, then we'll watch this short video. There we go. Uh-oh. Maybe not.
Okay. I'm in a school library, so it'll get quiet in here in a second.
project-based learning is the ability to work cooperatively with someone to resolve conflict. So one skill you need your whole life. You may not need calculus tomorrow, but you have to know how to work in relationships, whether it's for a coworker or a life partner. You have to know how to handle conflict and how to handle challenges.
Sometimes that means that Maya would come over and start talking about it and saying things.
Is it your job to make today's job a good part?
I know it's a form of bullying, and sometimes I'll say sorry to her.
So you choose to be someone's ally and make their choice. Responsible decision making is considering the well-being for self and others. It's evaluating the consequences for various behaviors or actions. We do this through shared agreement, one-to-one problem solving, or having students debate an issue.
You were like, "Hey, Sheeta, can I how much does an egg cost?" And you like took out your wallet and like $50. Which one of us is corrupt? You're the one that said you know the money.
We're truly teaching these students to be productive citizens. We're teaching them life skills. We're teaching them how to problem solve effectively. We're teaching them how to be resilient.
I think of all the millions of dollars we've spent on Title I and all these intervention programs, and when all is said and done, what do we have to show for it? I think we're trying to teach technical things instead of devoting some of the resources to teach who you are as a person. Once you know who you are, then learning becomes exciting because you've already established it.
It's important for teachers and principals to understand that it can't be a bind or off the shelf. It can't be something that happens from 2:15 to 4:30 on Tuesday to Thursday. It has to be part of the culture. Giving teachers flexibility, giving them a range of skills, giving them different ways that it can look, and allowing them to take their own personality and match that to what they want in their classroom has been the best way to get authentic, true practice.
We continue to do what we've always done. We're always going to get what we always done. Is that good enough? I don't think it's good enough for the 21st century. We need to be the outliers to try things that have never been tried and see if they work. Why do we wait?
Okay, so that, I'm sorry that the sound didn't work at first on the movie. If you're interested, it's on the Edutopia website. So that gave you kind of a little bit of an overview of what is social emotional learning. Social emotional learning involves the processes through which children and adults acquire and effectively apply the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. Next. So Castle, after many years of experience, came up with the 5 competencies that are necessary for all of us to be successful adults. And they are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. AISD operates in all of these 5 areas in order to implement SEL. Okay, next. This slide shows a little bit of research about what happens when SEL is implemented pre-K through 12th grades. So there's a 9% improvement in pro-social behavior, a 9% improvement in attitudes about self and others in school, a 9% reduction in problem behaviors, a 10% reduction in emotional distress, an 11% increase in standardized achievement test scores, and a 23% increase in social and emotional skills. Next. So this is a study that was done by Millennial Branding. It surveyed 225 employees using Experience Incorporated's data pool of over 100,000 U.S. companies, and this is what it uncovered. They were looking for the skills on the left, and the skills on the right were the hardest to find. So communication skills, positive attitude, adaptability to change, teamwork skills, and being goal-oriented were the top 5 skills they were looking for. And on the right, you see the percentage of difficulty finding employees with those skills. Next. So that gives us the efficacy for implementing the 5 competencies in our school. This is some data. We have a research and development specialist who collects data for our school district. This data, after controlling for spring of 2012 elementary school passing rates on STAR Math, noticed that when SEL was integrated, there was a positive predicted passing rate for math. And then after controlling for the baseline ratings of school safety, secondary schools with high SEL integration ratings had higher 2014-15 average ratings in the indicator on their survey for I feel safe at my school than did schools with lower SEL integration. So in other words, on the student survey, when SEL is integrated well, students reported feeling safer in their school. Next.
After these slides go, oh, sorry, Pam.
Yes?
Oh, I was going to say, I have some updated, this just in data. By the way, this is Katie Cameron O'Neill talking, and I have some updated data from a report that was published today about this impact that it's had on AISD. So I just wanted to share that too.
Okay. So when peace areas are implemented into the most classrooms, and students provided a higher rating for the 2014-15 year. I feel safe at school. So the ratings when peace areas, and you're going to hear a little bit more about peace areas in a few minutes, when they're implemented in schools, we see a higher rating for elementary students, and I feel safe at school. Okay, Katie, go ahead with the updated information.
What I was going to say, one big question that I feel like people have about social and emotional learning is how it impacts academics positively. And because this research is pretty new, we're only just starting to get some really solid data about that. So based on our results from the 2015-2016 school year, we saw, and I can't show you these graphs because I literally just got them today, but I have one that says, after controlling for the baseline year, elementary schools with strong SEL steering committees, which is a major component of how we implement at schools, they predicted 2015 and 2016 STAR math performance regardless of how long that they've been doing SEL. So if they have a strong steering committee, that showed a positive correlation with higher math scores on STAR tests last year. So we're starting to see some really strong academic correlations as well. It also impacts discretionary removals in terms of disciplinary actions, and elementary schools where SEL was integrated with more fidelity. That means they were doing a lot of systems with SEL, systems being informed by SEL. The reduction in discretionary removals last year was way higher than in schools that had less SEL integration. So I could show you numbers, but they're sitting here in front of me. It wouldn't make sense if I said that. And then also we've seen really positive impacts on chronic absenteeism. Middle schools and high schools where there's been high schools and middle schools where there's been more integration of SEL concepts and skills in classrooms, that actually predicted lower rates of chronic absenteeism. So those are some really strong pieces of data that show that it's not just about feelings, you know, it's also having important impacts on kids coming to school and kids doing better in math and reading. That's all.
Next.
For now.
Katie, you're up.
All right, and I'm on. So this is our social and emotional learning stool. We like to use the idea of a stool because we have these 4 really important legs that support the top of it. As we can see, and this top is nice and comfortable. And so the 4 pieces are intentionally teaching knowledge and skills, intentionally developing a positive culture and climate, intentionally addressing SEL through academic content and skill practice, and then also intentionally creating opportunities for parents and families with regards to social and emotional learning. And we're going to go through how AISD addresses each of these. So moving on. So intentionally teaching, we have a curriculum, and we'll look at that just a little bit. You can move on. This is called explicit instruction. At the elementary and middle school levels, we use a curriculum called Second Step. It is evidence-based because, again, this research is pretty new. We're just starting to see some more research coming back about how Second Step has affected schools on a broader, more national level. And this curriculum has been around for a while, so this actually has some of the best data around in terms of curriculum. And then School Connect is what we use at the high school. It is quite new. It's only a few years old, and we're only just starting to get some data from that. But the idea here in the CASEL, for the Collaborative for Academic and Social and Emotional Learning, they want to have data-driven curricula. And so we are, especially with School Connect, we're working on having these be data backed up that they actually do work. And Second Step already is School Connect. We're working on that. Can y'all hear me okay? Is it coming through? These are the skills that and kind of the core concepts that Second Step focuses on, and also School Connect, which is kind of a continuation. So these correlate back to the wheel that we saw earlier, these 4 major areas with learning skills, empathy, emotion management, and problem solving, all of which correlate to 21st century skills like collaboration, emotional intelligence, things that employers are really looking for these days. So you can click on, okay, and here are the specific skills addressed from pre-K through 8th grade in terms of skills for learning. And you can go on, yeah. And here's the empathy specific things, emotion management. These are all posters that correlate to specific lessons within the curriculum, the Second Step. So they comes in a box, and you can pull out this very poster, slap it up on your wall in your hallway or in your classroom, and it correlates directly to Second Step lessons. And you can see those are some really important things that it talks about. Handling peer pressure, dealing with gossip, seeking help when you need it. This goes all the way through high school. So kids are getting that reinforced, and we're seeing how much impact that's having for our students when they get to high school. Okay. So now we're going to talk about how we intentionally address SEL through academic content and SEL skill practice. And there's a couple ways that we do this. This is process-centered feedback. We have an entire professional development base just on this. This is moving on from just saying to students, you know, good job, or, you know, I like what you did there. This is starting to get really specific about naming the desired behavior and commenting on how it's affecting that student's success. So instead of just students working for teacher judgment, like you're doing really good or you're not doing so good, it's teaching students to have their own self-assessment and self-efficacy. So we have a whole PD on that. And then, so then the next one, and we have a whole PD about that if you want to hear more about it. This is how we integrate social and emotional learning skills in academic content on the left. We encourage teachers and have professional development on how teachers can find SEL skills embedded in the content that they're actually teaching, as the examples are given here, and point that out to their students while they're doing the lesson in their regular content areas. And then also there's behavioral skill integration, which is R, which is anticipate, reinforce, reflect. So it's like, okay, now we're going to do a lab in partners. What are some things we can do to make sure that we're successful lab partners? How do we make sure that our lab partner feels that their voice is heard? How do I make sure that my voice is heard in my lab partner? So that's the anticipating the SEL skill, reinforcing it. The teacher goes around listening for that, and then reflecting it back to them. And we spend a lot of time talking to teachers about these two specific ways of making sure SEL is inside the classroom. And I just talked about that, anticipate, reinforce, reflect. It's one of the most concrete skills, and it's something that teachers do anyway with just regular concepts. And so when we correlate it to social and emotional learning skills, it makes a lot of sense for teachers to start doing it. And it helps to reinforce the skills that they're learning in explicit instruction. And then here's just an example of some academic content integration. Check that out. The problem solving. Yeah, it was just an example. And then for culture and climate, this goes around the whole school, and this is really an important piece. We talk about it, the integration in the classroom, but then how does it look for the whole school? We can talk about that a little bit. I hope that you can see this. It's kind of, oh, yeah. Yeah. So this is the culture and climate piece, that how it gets incorporated into the systems. So this is directly from CASEL, these instructional strategies. This is something we actually hand to teachers and invite them to check it out and see what they're already doing, and then what they can also try to work toward doing. This is a ton. Like if you did all of this, this would be magical unicorn classroom. So it's just we invite teachers to see what they're already doing, because so many teachers are already experts on this, and then choose an aspect that they could try to work into their classroom. So this is a good way to build that culture and climate. And I'm going to turn it back over to Pam to talk about parents and families in our community, how we do SEL with that.
So how do we intentionally create SEL opportunities for parents and families and in the community? The family and community leg of the stool was added about a year ago, and I like to say it makes this stool a little more stable, because when we are doing and talking about SEL at home and at school, we're building a stronger community. Next. So we do this in 3 ways. The first way is we teach the basics of SEL. We do it through written information. We have a website. We visit open houses and transition nights, literacy nights, and we provide a booth with information and activities. And the second step of our strategy is to actually teach families and community members what our lessons look like. We have lessons in managing anxiety, bullying, problem solving. We talk about our peace areas and peace path, conflict resolution strategies through these trainings. And then our top layer of the step is to integrate SEL into parenting practice. We do this through seminars, but also through book studies. Currently, we're doing a book study on the whole brain child, and for elementary school community members, and one on Brainstorms, the Power and Purpose of the Adolescent Brain. And we do those in about 6 sessions around the city. 2 years ago, we trained 2,500 parents. Last year, we trained 5,400 parents, and this year our goal is to train 7,500 parents. Alonzo, you're up.
Okay, so I'm here to talk about peace areas as a way to integrate SEL within the school day. So we've all seen it. We've seen the meltdowns that happen over rumors, the arguments over new toys. Conflict, it just happens. But peace areas and peace paths, they provide students, teachers, and campuses with, the space and the method, that's safe, sincere, easy to follow for being able to manage emotions and to resolve conflict. So if we consider how many times in a day our students ask us for help calming down a strong feeling or for help resolving a conflict with a peer, it's a lot of time, and that time really adds up. Say, for example, maybe a minimum of 5 minutes a day. Throughout a week, that's 25 minutes. But when you consider the months, how much time is taken away from academics because of these things that happen. It's quite a bit of time. So what peace areas do is it provides a space within the classroom where we teach students these skills, of how do they develop the capacity to be able to identify. It's that self-awareness piece, to identify what emotion they're feeling, and also to be able to work out how to be able to manage that emotion. So peace areas and peace paths, they're one and the same, but they have two specific purposes. So the peace area is to empower students to manage their own emotions and conflict now throughout their lives. When we think about what we want students to become when they're adults, we don't want them to go to their manager every time they have an issue and having a meltdown, but rather, we're trying to teach them at an early age how to be able to deal with those things themselves. The peace area, it's striving towards teaching that process. The peace area is a place within the classroom, but what's more important is moving toward the process where when students get older, they know how to be able to do these things on their own. So the peace path is just kind of a structured way. It's somewhat of a script, that students use to be able to resolve conflicts and to be able to come up with a collaborative decision. And both of them, they support and they minimize the amount of time and energy adults spend in calming down and mediating behaviors. So these are some of the anchors of support that are used in the peace areas, how to calm down. So students, they actually see these posters. With a calm down poster, basically they put their hands on their tummy and they say stop. They name the feeling that they're feeling at the time, and they take belly breaths. The peace area is not to be confused for a place to send students to for disciplinary purposes. There is another space for that, but the peace area is actually something the students on their own choose to go to, and that's a very important factor, a very important consideration about the peace area, because the goal is to build the capacity in the students to identify these emotions in themselves. So how do students use a peace area for conflict resolution? We do have the conflict resolution script, but the important things to think about are saying the problem without blame. The conflict resolution script, it has quite a few I statements, because the goal is to get away from blaming the other student for something that happened. Thinking of the solutions, this is the critical thinking component of it. Exploring the consequences. What would happen if? So that's an important sentence stem. And also picking the best solution. And the students do this together. And that is an important skill for life. So what do peace areas look like? There's many different ways that peace areas could look. If you look at the picture on the left, you see a kind of like a cubbyhole area with a pillow, and it has the anchor of support in there. To the right side, you see the peace path, in English and Spanish for bilingual classes. But no matter how it looks, the most important thing is teaching the process. It's important for students to realize that calming down, that emotion management, it must come first before conflict resolution, because you can't solve a conflict when you're having a very strong emotion personally. So the process is cooling down, calming down first, and then engaging in that process of conflict resolution. These are a few more examples. To the left, you see a peace cave. It's an inviting place for students. And one thing to consider in the peace area is that students don't stay there all day. the aim is for the student to return to the regular activity as soon as possible. So maybe the piece area does need to be explicitly taught. So it does need to be taught, how long, what to do in the piece area at first. But the goal is over time, again, is developing this process where students learn how to be able to manage their emotions on their own. So some teachers use timers, about maybe 5 to 10 minutes would be a good time for using a piece area. So these are examples of piece paths. At the top is one with more pictures for the younger kids, and for the on the bottom it's for older kids. Katie actually has something that she would like to say about this as well, from the secondary perspective.
All right. So these piece areas and this piece path that we've been looking at so far has been pretty elementary looking. I mean, I'm sure y'all picked up on that. Having piece areas at the secondary level has been kind of an ongoing challenge, and we are currently thinking about how to implement piece areas, like an actual space that students could go safely, that would be used in kind of a similar way to the elementary piece area. But we do have the conflict resolution script that's geared more toward middle school, and I think this next slide shows that conflict resolution guide. Yeah, right here. So these are sentence stems that we encourage teachers to use in their classroom. This could be a poster that you put up on the wall. I actually made, for some of the schools that I support, I made this into desk cards they could tape onto their tables, and I turned them into like accountability stems so that students, if they needed to look at something, it becomes an anchor of support so that they can have that accountable talk between them. So this is a little bit more of a secondary aspect of the conflict resolution guide. Our goal is to get all secondary schools to have a conflict resolution process that goes from the very, very top, like principals talking to APs, the administrators talking to each other, all the way down to peers talking to each other in the hallways. That's the magical unicorn goal of conflict resolution. And we're working on that through the district so that each school can define for themselves, maybe based on this, but create a conflict resolution process that suits the culture of their campus and can be used for everybody on that campus. So that's something that we continue to work on.
All right, so
go ahead.
Oh, okay. Do you have something else you would like to say?
No, go ahead, Alonzo, you got it.
All right. So taking a break versus a piece area, and that's what I was referring to earlier about the piece area is something that's student directed. The student is the one that chooses to go there, and it's more of a preventative measure, a measure that encourages self-regulation. So if it's, for example, before an incident happened and the student recognizes that they're starting to feel a little bit of aggression, the goal is to teach that student to identify, when they're starting to feel those emotions, and then the student will ask the teacher, may I go to the peace area for a little bit? And then the teacher more than likely will say, okay. Now taking a break is something completely different. Taking a break is a teacher-directed move used as a logical conflict. In addition to the peace area, it does encourage self-regulation, but taking a break would probably be, like, okay, you can go, to the side, maybe in a chair that's set up. But going to the peace area is somewhat of a reward for the student recognizing those emotions in themselves. And
so I can talk about this if you want, Alonzo.
Sure.
That's all right. Is that okay? Okay, cool. We've talked a lot about the skills and concepts that we hope students are learning, but of course, social and emotional learning has to be, as Pete Price, our boss, says, it has to be something that we are, not something that we do. It's how we be, not what we do. If you excuse the poor grammar there. But we also have a lot of SEL competence and learning professional development modules. That's why we coaches exist as such, is to be support for the teachers and administrators on our campuses as we're disseminating this explicit instruction and integration on all of our campuses, it is critical that we are supporting the adults on campus. And we have a whole PD devoted to adult self-care because these teachers are doing the hardest work. These administrators are doing the hardest work. So we really recognize that SEL has to start with each grown-up on campus, because the better that the grown-ups are able to take care of themselves, that is the capacity to which they can affect the students in a positive way. So that's a really, really important piece, is our adult learning in the social and emotional learning department. Oh, and this is what we're currently working on. And Pam, you can maybe talk about this a little bit too, but I'll just start off. If you have anything to say, just jump on in. But we, this year, as of this year, have a dedicated mindfulness specialist, James Butler. He is going to all of our campuses and helping schools integrate breath work and intentional pauses in schools so that it can help with emotion management and identifying problems with curriculum and things like that. He's actually doing mindfulness practices at all levels of the campus. And it's so cool that our district is willing to dedicate resources to mindfulness. And we're starting, there's already been some pilot programs on the elementary, secondary, and secondary levels, and we're starting to see some really, really positive results, including less absenteeism, less tardies, and higher academic scores. Restorative practices, including restorative justice and community circles, are ways that we're looking at increasing the equity in our educational practice and reducing the amount of disciplinary issues that we see and disciplinary action that we see. And I think that it's been pretty common knowledge that there's been a big disparity in who gets disciplinary actions more than others, what groups of students get disciplined more than other groups of students. So this restorative practice, the goal is to increase equity and decrease that disparity. And then welcoming schools at the elementary level, that is a curriculum from the Human Rights Council, which of course forwards LGBTQ plus rights. That's a national group that works for LGBTQ plus rights. And the Welcoming Schools curriculum invites elementaries to create welcoming environments and accepting environments for all kinds of families and all kinds of students. And that is a 6-hour PD that schools can commit to, and then they get gifted and talented credit for that. So that's the kind of emphasis that our district is putting on this welcoming #AllMeansAll deal with SEL. And I am on a committee right now that's working on developing a welcoming schools for the secondary, middle school, and high school level. So that is forthcoming. And then also we've been talking a lot about growth mindset versus fixed mindset and how that can affect our students. That process-centered feedback is a big part of that. We have a whole PD based on growth mindset for teachers and how teachers talk to students. So these are things that we're currently working on, and there's a lot, it's a work in progress, but that's sort of the joy of this work, is that it's always creative and always happening. So Pam, did you want to say anything else about that?
All those topics, the SEL 2.0 topics for community members and families.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next.
So this sort of sums it all up. This is our model for what is social emotional learning. It's important because of these 21st century skills that are becoming more and more important in workplaces and for success in college, career, and life. And we have an awesome website. There it is. We also have a blog. You'll see some links to some external resources on the next slide. Or maybe the next slide is thank you and then resources.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for listening. And then here are our resources. The first link is our website, and the second link is our blog, and this is shameless self-promotion, but I write the blog, so if you want to check it out. We also are very active on social media, so we are really happy to share our process with anybody who's interested, so come check us out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Okay, so everyone is unmuted at this point, and I had a couple of questions. I know they're going back to when Pam was presenting. Pam, where can they see the video, because we were missing audio on the first part?
So it's on the Edutopia website.
Edutopia.
And let's see, if you
How
put
do you
in,
spell that?
Edutopia, it's EDUTOPIA.
EDUTOPIA. Okay, I'll just put that in the video.
Yeah.
And probably if you search like Edutopia Castle video, that would probably pop up. Yeah.
CASTEL, isn't it?
Castle, CASEL, yes.
Castle. Okay. Okay. Send to all. There you go. Sorry about the no sound on the movie. And there was somebody that said that the audio was breaking up, but I didn't hear any audio breakup. So you might go back and watch the recording and see if there's an issue with that. Then I had a question about how you encourage parents to participate. Do you offer dinner, or are there incentives? How do you get them engaged?
Yes, we work closely with the parent support specialists and counselors on school campuses, and we offer opportunities when parents can come early in the morning, early in the evening, weekends. We do some book studies and literature lessons where we actually give the books and the activities to the parents. We offer refreshments, and we work with schools to provide childcare.
Okay. Someone had asked about signing up for the Wellness Policy Workshop in Houston. You can just shoot me an email and I will send you a link to sign up for that. It's msmith@actionforhealthykids.org. So I think I sent that. I thought I sent that out, but it doesn't look like it went through. Does anybody else have any additional questions for our speakers? Y'all have done a fabulous job of sharing what's going on in Austin.
Oh, good. We're really excited about it.
Yeah.
I know. It's fabulous work, and mindfulness is something that is new in our, oh wait, let's see. How do we sign up for, well, there's another question on that. Yes, there is a fee for the workshop. It is $75. So it's the Center for Disease Control, CDC, and National Action for Healthy Kids are doing a 3-hour workshop. So like I said, email me and I can send you details on that. But are there any other questions for our guests? Are there are there scholarships? No, not at this time. So as you can tell, my wonderful AISD compatriots, the people that are on this webinar are very involved in a lot of different aspects of school health. So
oh yeah,
they are, and right now one of the big things is working on wellness policies. That's something that all the districts who are part of the school meal program have to have in place, an updated wellness policy with implementation plans by next summer. So there's a lot of interest in anything to do with wellness policies.
Oh yeah,
thank you guys
Thank you
so much for being part of this today, and thank everyone who, there's a congratulations from Mexico City. Thank you for sharing. So we have people from Mexico City listening in to y'all's information. And
good.
Thank yous. And as I mentioned, go ahead.
I was going to say thank you so much for the opportunity. This has been great.
Sorry
we were so last minute last night.
Yeah, one of our participants said next we need to work on implementation and encouraging principals and teachers to get on board. So, and that's one of the things that is the key to success on anything in schools, is you have to have your principals and your teachers. So one of the things that we talk about from Action for Healthy Kids is always knowing your audience, and even if you know that they're not on board with you, making sure that you include them in your planning and include them so that you know what their issues are and you can find ways to work with them on resolving them. So a lot of the different components that are part of this SEL program are applicable in trying to make a good case for school wellness with teachers, with principals, and with parents. So, yes, hopefully what you've learned here today can have multiple uses, and keep in contact with Extra Healthy Kids so you can learn about upcoming webinars, and hopefully we'll do some more on this topic in the coming months, because I think it's a really important one. So,
yeah, me too. That'd be great.
And y'all have a great rest of the week.
Bye, everyone.
You too.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, high fives.